you fall. Watch you lose in control. I'm seeing red. Watch you rise, watch you fall. Now I'm about to break. Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this? Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this? Face the pain. Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this?
What's going on, fight fans? Welcome to another episode of the Fixed Fights podcast with Kurt and Ben. As always, I'm Kurt, here with my main man, Ben. Ben, what's going on this week, dude?
Not a lot, per usual, but dude, we were talking about before we hit record, we have a fucking excellent fight card for free, not really free. You got to be an ESPN Plus subscriber, but no additional cost, and it is banging. We got 2 banging weeks ahead of, like, you know, we're not usually UFC fanboys on this show, but they're doing it right these 2 weeks, I would say.
Ben, picture this world. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
You do away with Fight Pass. You merge everything onto ESPN Plus. You charge $15 a month, but every single pay-per-view is covered under that $15 a month. How awesome would that be? And I guarantee you it would bring more subscribers than it has right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the old, I was about to say the WWE network model.
I know.
They got rid of that, right? But I guess we should talk to somebody who actually knows pro wrestling. Did the WWE get rid of that model because it was not making money, or did they just sell to somebody else? Or
well, I don't know, man. I mean, I haven't consistently watched WWE in years, but I was a subscriber to the network because I do enjoy watching the old content, and I did generally turn in to the pay-per-views, right? So at least I was getting my money out of it. I was paying every month. I think if the UFC went to that model, I think they would get more subscribers and consistent subscribers. Because right now, it's like you have to pay for ESPN Plus. You have to pay for Fight Pass. You also have to pay for the pay-per-views. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's ESPN's call to make, probably.
Right.
They get to decide how it works out. But yeah, you would certainly think, like, we already see you're subjected to ads and commercials on ESPN Plus no matter what.
Right.
Which they're selling to advertisers, which means, like, what they ultimately want is to sell more subscriptions, right? Not necessarily sell. I don't know how much money ESPN or the UFC makes from just pay-per-view revenue, but ESPN, the fact that they sell ads on their streaming service, that tells me that if they have more subscribers, their ads will sell for more. So exactly what you're describing, just charge, even I would pay $20 a month for everything.
I would too. Yep.
Regular ESPN Plus, the full fight library that's on Fight Pass, which is Pride, which includes even a lot of live events currently, like
exactly.
Submission Underground, shit like that, LFA. Merge all that into fucking ESPN Plus. I would, now that I say it, I would even pay like $25-$30 a month and then never charge me again for a pay-per-view.
Exactly. Yes.
That's it. But who knows, man? I'm not a business guy, obviously.
We should do the math. I mean, we could probably do it pretty easily, but like, if you were to buy every pay-per-view with also the monthly or whatever the yearly fee of ESPN Plus is, and then the yearly fee of Fight Pass is, I guarantee you'd be shocked if you saw that number.
Well, I mean, what is the going rate for an HD pay-per-view right now? $70?
I think $70. I don't even have Fight Pass anymore, but that's got to be what, like?
I think it's $10 a month.
And then ESPN Plus is another, like, $10 or whatever. $7, whatever it is. That's a lot, man.
And you know what's shitty too is I have both Fight Pass and ESPN Plus, and there's like a switch. I think it was 2020 or something, but like, I have Fight Pass, so theoretically I should have the entire UFC library available to me, right? I don't. I have to have ESPN Plus to get fights that happened after like February 2020 or some shit. And it doesn't tell you why. Like, they'll show up on Fight Pass. You're like, oh, sweet, I want to see this Jim Miller fight from 20. You'll click on it on Fight Pass and be like, this video is not available, with no explanation. And then you just have to go to ESPN Plus and somehow track that motherfucker down. Like,
it's crazy. It's not intuitive. It's not like a clean system. It's not, I don't think it's the most effective system, but who knows? I mean, maybe it'll change eventually. I would hope so, but yeah, I love the fact that, this fight this weekend, awesome card, under our subscription already. Also during the day, I believe the main card starts at 2. We're going to talk about that card in a little bit. But let's talk about the biggest story from this past weekend, and that is the legend Fedor Emelianenko in classic true to self Fedor fashion, comes out there, looked really good. I mean, he looked good physically. I mean, dude, it's crazy. He's 45 years old. Obviously, some of the reflexes are gone. The chin's obviously not what he used to be. Man, he is still fast as hell for a 45-year-old heavyweight. I kind of winced every time he took a punch, but the chin held up, and man, he knocked Timothy Johnson out. I guess in retrospect, or hindsight, whatever you want to say, Timothy Johnson might not have been the worst opponent. Maybe Fedor, maybe Bellator saw something in Timothy Johnson, but I mean, it seemed like the perfect end to what is just an amazing career. We can talk about what's next for Fedor in a few, but I mean, just looking at the fight, you got to be as jazzed up as I am, man.
Yeah, incredible. And it was exactly, this is why we love this guy, is because he fights like he's 24 years old all over again. Like,
Never
this is
changed
not
his
a guy.
style.
I mean, if anything, he changed it to be more brawler.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like back in 03, 04, 05, like he was a takedown ground and pound artist. And I think he probably still could, but he's maybe afraid of gassing if he tries too much of that. And MMA has evolved. Like, think how much MMA has changed since the time that he was on top in like 2003. That's insane that he's now competing. I know heavyweight, say what you will about Tim Johnson, that shit, but it's fucking insane that Fedor came out here and was just like, fuck it, let's go guns blazing. I'm going to exchange with this guy. And I'm with you that like every single exchange with him is like, this is terrifying. This is terrifying. But he's fucking still got it, man. He landed that. That's up there for KO of the year, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Even that it was in Russia, who it was. I know Tim Johnson is not the highest level opponent, but Fedor brings something special to the table that you could probably count on one hand guys in MMA that have the kind of mystique that he has. He got Fedor, Anderson Silva, maybe prime BJ Penn type of, we're talking, or, John Jones when he was in his peak, or even like probably similar to how people felt about like Royce Gracie, where it's like, oh, this guy is just untouchable. And Fedor's prime was like that. So it was cool to see him do, like, he doesn't have any boring knockouts either. I know knockouts are never boring, but it's always like spectacular. Even the ones that were not at the fucking Brett Rogers knockout, the knockout of Andrei Arlovsky, like this knockout, like it's crazy that he has so many just awesome knockouts in so many different promotions across so many like decades, is awesome.
I mean, Ben, like, it's crazy. Like, his prime was like 2004, 2003, 2005. Like, there was literally a time where when Fedor fought, it was like unimaginable for him to lose. Like, you literally could not see anybody beating this guy. I mean, I still think like that Mirko Krokop fight, it might be, especially for the time, like that's still probably the biggest heavyweight fight in history. And it's just like, again, that was fucking 16 years ago, but like, that's how long this guy has been good. Again, he's like one of those, I think, transcendent figures, and maybe fans like now that are newer fans to MMA, like they don't have the same appreciation for Fedor like we do. But Ben, we've talked about this a bunch on this show, and it's one thing I talk about a lot. Like when guys in other sports like go over the peak, baseball, like they start getting old, like they're average dips. They don't hit as many home runs. Like basketball, it's kind of sad. Football, you see the yardage go down, but MMA, it's just so much sadder because sadly, when the reflexes and everything goes, it's not like they're getting benched for longer periods of time. They're getting knocked the fuck out. And it's sad to see. So when a guy like this, in a fight that we were both worried about, and even the odds, the odds showed for him to come out there and score just an amazing knockout like this, it's one of the best like feel good moments in MMA. Who tweeted it? Cabosa tweeted like seeing Anderson Silva and Fedor Emelianenko knocking dudes dead in 2021 like feels good, man.
Yeah, it does, man. It feels good. And again, I feel like people are going to overlook the fact. I know heavyweight MMA can go all over the place. I know Tim Johnson is not a world beater, but like in the grand scheme of things, Tim Johnson's probably a top 30 heavyweight in the world, top 20 maybe.
Fair.
Like this is meaningful. Like I hope Fedor retires because it is like so fucking nerve-wracking watching him fight. And now, you know, Bellator has him ranked 3rd in their heavyweight division, and maybe he wants to rematch with Ryan Bader, which like maybe Bader knocks him out again, but also he just knocked, like if Corey Anderson can knock out Ryan Bader and Fedor Emelianenko just knocked out Tim Johnson, communicative property or some bullshit, Fedor Emelianenko can knock out Ryan Bader. And I'm already starting to convince myself that he should retire the Bellator heavyweight champion after starching Ryan Bader.
I mean, that was my next question. Like, do you want to see him fight again? Because you know Bellator is all the fuck in, and it sounds like Fedor, as fucking beautiful and it would have been, you know, walking off in Moscow in front of your fans. Like, dude, how often in the 20 years that we've been watching Fedor, how often have you seen that guy smile? Like,
yeah,
never. Like, he was literally just gleaming from ear to ear, smiling. Like, really, you want to go again? I know you look great. But fuck, man.
Well, the outcome was great, and I think in those, let me see, what was it? Less than 2 minutes. The fight was
90 seconds, maybe.
Yeah, he looked fine, but you don't know. What I was gonna say though is when I saw him walking out, he's got way more salt than pepper sprinkled in his hair now. Like we haven't seen him. When was the last time he fought before this?
Close to 2 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, since 2019, and I feel like he looked old for the first. Like he's always. Part of it is because he's a small heavyweight. So even back in like 2010, 2011, it was like kind of scary to watch him fight after his chin had been cracked, right? After Bigfoot Silva had TKO'd him, Anderson knocked him out. There was a stretch there where it was like scary to see him, not because he seemed old, but just because he's small and, you know, he's a fan favorite, all this good stuff. But now on the walkout to this Tim Johnson fight, I thought, man, this guy looks kind of old now. Like an old, like fit and dangerous, like Liam Neeson in Taken 3, like old, still, you know? So I don't know,
He's
man.
not in his prime, but he could still like get his daughter back or whatever the fuck was going on.
Yeah, exactly. He's still got the juice, but like, I don't know, man. I wished Fedor had retired, like in the like take your gloves off, retire with it. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think he's gonna fight Ryan Bader, which sucks because that's another risk. And like, what if he starches Ryan Bader? Is he then going to retire, or is he then going to be?
Got it. I mean, listen, if Fedor can somehow rematch Ryan Bader and win the Bellator heavyweight title and then retire, like that is the cherry on top. So yeah, you're kind of convincing me that I want to see it. Gun to my head, I am still going to throw my vote in the hat for Anderson Silva. I still want to see it. Just a legends fight. Anderson is not a big dude. Again, that's a fight where like, and I don't know, Anderson Silva's doing his thing in boxing, so maybe he stays over there. Maybe I'm alone on the hill with this one, but I still want to see that. Don't want to see him fight any other sort of contender or anything like that. I think they kind of walked a thin line with Tim Johnson and got away with it. But yeah, Ryan Bader, I think I want to see him retire, but if he doesn't, I think Bader's a winnable fight. I think he could get knocked out. I think he can knock Bader out. But man, if he won the Bellator heavyweight title and retired, that'd be fucking insane.
I say if he fights Ryan Bader, it is like the day after that guy's medical suspension goes up, so it just increases the chances that Fedor Emelianenko can knock him out. So no disrespect to Bader, but I do want to see you get murdered.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Like, yeah.
Jesus. All right. Anything else on the Bellator card you want to talk about?
No, I mean, to be honest, I really just tuned in for that main event, noticing too that this was just like Russia against everyone else, and Russia nearly swept.
Yeah, I mean, Usman Nurmagomedov is coming. That guy is a big time factor in that Bellator lightweight division. Gets another finish. Anatoly Tokov is a stud too. He's a guy to keep your eye on. Vitaly Minakov loses in the co-main event via doctor stoppage. His finger popped out and he couldn't get it back in. Fortunate for him.
Yeah. When is the next Bellator? I'm looking on.
November 5th. It's actually the lightweight title.
Okay.
Rematch between Pitbull and Peter Quayle.
All right. And am I correct? They have no. I guess they just have the light heavyweight Grand Prix, but they have no other. They should do a band. Right? They've got to do a bantamweight one. Yes. That's their next stackedest division. So that would make sense.
Well, they also just announced Koji Horiguchi versus Sergio Pettis. By the way, one of the best fights you could make. Not only in that organization, but man, that is a good freaking fight.
Yeah, for sure. Like one of the absolute best fights to be made outside of the UFC. Period.
It's in Connecticut too.
If not one of the best ones. Yeah, Mohegan Sun, baby.
Oh no. All right, let's jump over to the UFC side of things. Main event was a light heavyweight bout, not a middleweight bout, not a 195-pound bout, but a light heavyweight bout between Marvin Vettori and Paulo Costa. You got to give Marvin Vettori props, not only for the fight, but just for taking this fight. I mean, again, Costa was on like Tuesday or Wednesday says he can't make weight. I mean, everybody talked about that ad nauseum, but Vettori pretty much said, whatever, fuck it. I'm going to fight you at any weight. I mean, I don't think there's ever any doubt that this guy wasn't going to fight, but man, Vettori I think he really, really upped his profile in this fight. I mean, his chin is fucking excellent. Again, like a win here, obviously it doesn't get him a title shot, but I think it keeps him at least in that mix, depending on how things shake out and happen. But he showed grit. He has great cardio. He's obviously got an insane chin. Say what you will about Costa, but Costa did his part. I think there's a lot of flaws in Costa, both physically and mentally, but he played his part. A really, really good fight. But man, I'm pretty damn high on Marvin Vettori after that one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I gained a fair amount of respect for Vettori after this. Not that I thought that he was like a particularly poor fighter, but I think here it was obvious that Costa was quite a bit bigger. So it made it all the more satisfying, right? That here's a guy who kind of gamed the UFC system, basically just said, agreed a couple months ago to fight at 185, showed up the week of and just said, I'm not doing that. Yeah. And just agreed to give up a little bit of money and then came into the fight. I thought he looked bigger. It felt like Vettori, who's not a big puncher to begin with, had to try even harder just to kind of deal with Costa. Like I felt like Costa was willing to take 3 to give 1, but that the flip side of that means that Vettori has to hit him 3 times to like even 1 punch from Costa. And he did. Like I thought Vettori's jab was on point, like very, very good jab. He's not the most like flashy striker or anything, but I think I was about to say hard to hit, but man, this was a fucking slobber knocker. Both guys got hit a ton. But yeah, I mean, I think Vettori raised stock a lot, especially the willingness to take the fight at 205 when he could have played a lot harder of hardball. He should have at least said, like, let's do 195 and give me 40% of your purse or some shit. Like, I believe the final deal was, right, an entire weight up and 20% of his purse, which is crazy because that's like what guys give up for missing weight by like 2 or 3 pounds.
I know, right? Yeah.
He gave up his weight. I mean,
a whole weight class.
I don't know. But yeah, no, I gained a lot of respect for Vettori as a fighter here. And, I didn't think he was going to get finished. I thought he was going to win. I guess I did pick Vettori by decision, but I didn't expect him to take the shots he took and continue to be like in a winning position.
Yeah, Vettori won me money too. I actually bet Vettori in the over in that fight, or Vettori by decision in the over, both getting plus odds. Yeah, dude, it's insane. Like Costa looks fucking huge, man, absolutely huge. And again, like gas tank kind of waned pretty early, but I mean, he kept throwing, he kept slinging those bungalows. I thought Vettori's hands looked really clean, which I was surprised at. I thought Vettori was going to try to wrestle more, but yeah, man, he fought a really smart fight. What is next for Vettori? Like, where does he go from here? It's kind of tough.
Oh man, I got to pull up these rankings. I mean, he didn't call anybody out, did he?
Not that I know of.
He seems like the type of guy who always has. So he's now number 2. We got Whitaker versus Adesanya. Obviously, nobody wants to see him fight Adesanya a 3rd time.
No.
I mean, I would see no problem with a Whitaker fight if. Let me look. He never fought Whitaker. So if Whitaker wins and they don't want to do a rubber match with Adesanya and Whitaker, but he's in a rough spot. I mean, does Jared Cannonier have a fight?
Yeah, Cannonier is going to fight Brunson, and you got to imagine the winner of that is going to be ahead of Vettori for a title shot. Whether it's Whitaker or Adesanya.
It's new blood.
He's already fought Hermanson, Sean Strickland. But Strickland was supposed to fight Rockhold, but then Rockhold pulled out. I don't know if they found the replacement for Strickland. And then, going past that, it's Darren Till, Kelvin Gastelum. Yeah.
I mean, those are kind of, he could get like not a stay busy fight because those are all very losable fights for him. But like, the Cannonier Brunson is the more deserving next title shot.
Maybe he gets the loser of that fight.
Okay, I can fuck with that.
Or Whitaker, maybe if Whitaker doesn't beat Adesanya. Yeah, and again, both of those would be pretty high-profile fights. So, yeah, that's probably what he's looking at.
Yeah, he's got options. And like I've been saying, man, after this fight, like I have a lot more. I think him against Whitaker I would obviously pick Whitaker. I'm a huge Whitaker fan, but like, and I think he would win that fight. But like, I think that's a close fight, knowing the kind of chin that Vettori's shown now.
I agree. I think Vettori is in any of those fights. I thought his striking looked really good in this one.
He's got short little fucking arms, but he's pumping his jab. Well.
It's crazy, man. Adesanya has really done work in that division. It's fucking wild.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why, again, like the Brunson Cannonier winner, I know he fought Brunson, but that was a long time ago. Cannonier would be fresh. I think that winner probably has the inside track to the next title shot.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, do you want to see Paulo Costa stay at 185, or do you think he needs to go up?
I think Dana White said he's at 205 now. He basically said he's not going back down, which has got to be good for him. I mean, he showed better cardio than I think any of us expected, right? That has to be at least in part because he wasn't cutting too much weight. He showed a really good chin, and light heavyweight is a pretty fucking weak division without Israel Adesanya at the top. And I don't think Paulo Costa ever wants to fight Israel Adesanya again. So
I don't think so.
205 is a good move for him. I think 205 is a great move for him.
Anyone who, if we look down at the rest of this card, anyone else stand out to you that you want to shout out?
I mean, Alex Caceres stuck out to me as in 5-fight win streak, took like a straight up illegal strike early in the fight and was just like, no, I'm cool, man, and just kept going.
Finish was awesome too, man.
Yeah, the choke. Who was the Gregory Rodriguez Rodriguez and Junyoung Park? Just bananas, man. I think those are the fights that stuck out to me.
Mason Jones, Jai Herbert had a nice knockout. I was gonna say Mason Jones got back in the win column. He's a stud.
Yeah. Jessica
Rose Clark came back. Draw in the co-main event with Grant Dawson and Ricky Glenn.
It's a fun fight too, actually.
Yeah,
there were some good fights.
Fun card.
I would say people need to fucking seek out that Hobo Cop and what's Iron Turtle.
Yeah.
Watch that fucking fight. I feel like it was all the second round too. Like the first round was exciting but not crazy, and then shit got crazy in the 2 minutes basically of the second round.
Yeah, it got bonkers. Really fun fight. Really quick, PFL had their final last night. Talk about that really quick. Main event, Kayla Harrison does her thing. This time it made it to 4 minutes in the second round, but I mean, dude, she's just so dominant. I mean, she makes it look effortless. She's got like that swagger to her right now where she you can tell she legitimately feels like she is the best female in the world. And god damn it, she is sure fighting like it. Wins another $1 million, wins another title. We've talked about this, but again, we'll pitch it to you like this. Like, is it time for Kayla Harrison to make something happen and get herself into the UFC or Bellator?
She's a free agent now, so I think that's what people are discussing. I don't think so, for a couple of reasons. I mean, the UFC is not going to pay her, I don't think, what she's worth, and maybe they would. I guess they paid Rousey big. Right?
Bellator,
maybe they.
Though.
I think Bellator will. The problem is too. Here's what complicates things: is in the second fight of the night last night was the debut. of former Bellator featherweight champion Julia Budd, who, by the way, looks good at 155. Like, looks like she always cut a ton of weight to get to 45. Also, Kayla Harrison doesn't have to fight at 155. She just is in the PFL. She's made 145. So there is a relatively big fight to be had with Julia Budd in the PFL if she wants that. However, if she goes to Bellator, I think the bigger fight would be Chris Cyborg. And then the UFC is kind of tantalizing her with Amanda Nunes. I think in those three, PFL, Bellator, and UFC, there are like viable big fights for her. The problem is I don't think the UFC is going to pay her to fight Amanda Nunes. Bellator, I think, could pay her to fight Cyborg, and that might be worth her while. But are they going to pay her $1 million that she's making with the PFL, basically guaranteed every year?
No, but I think here's the thing. I think she will get paid well no matter where she goes. Probably more so at Bellator, but I think it's got to be like a competitive. I feel like Kayla is such a competitive person. Again, like Julia Budd is great. She looked good. But again, like Julia Budd just got smoked by Chris Cyborg. Like, you know that there's two women at the top of the food chain in women's MMA. Obviously, we're not going to count Valentina Shevchenko because she's on a lower weight, but it's Amanda Nunes and it's Chris Cyborg. I got to imagine at this point, Kayla Harrison's 31 years old. She's got to want to fight one of those two women. And I think now, if she has the opportunity to do it, I think she's going to jump on it. Gun to my head, if I had to make a choice of which one I'd rather see, I'm going to stick with my girl. I love her. I'm going to go with Chris Cyborg. I really want to see that fight. I would love to see Bellator scoop her up. Dude, Chris Cyborg's about to fight the girl working down the street at Cracker Barrel. I'm kidding, but like, who is she fighting? She's fighting I
can't remember.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
she just fought like Arlene Blenko, and like,
I know.
No disrespect to any of them, but
no disrespect.
I think I'd also like to see her fight Cyborg rather than Nunes. I know Nunes is a featherweight champion, but she's still small for featherweight, whereas Cyborg is at least a true 45er, and I think they would fight at 45 or 50. Who gives a fuck? Put himself in the middle.
She's down to fight her.
But Kayla Harrison, is the weight is not an issue for Kayla Harrison. Like I said, she has made 45 before, and I don't think it was a big deal for her.
Okay. I don't mean to interrupt you, Ben, but she's fighting like Sinead Kavanaugh. You know what I'm saying? It's like we go to the zoo and you throw a small animal in with the lion, and like, you watch them get mangled. Like, no offense to Sinead Kavanaugh, but like, she's gonna get beat the fuck up by Chris Cyborg.
Yeah, probably. It's risky. I mean, eventually one of these girls is gonna beat up Chris Cyborg unless it's Kayla Harrison. I'm not saying Kayla Harrison would win, but like, at least that would be a high profile opponent to lose to.
Yeah. We'll see. I think she's going to make the jump. Maybe even you could do fucking Amanda Nunes retirement fight against Kayla Harrison. You know what I'm saying? Because I think her career is coming to an end. She's got a lot of stuff going on outside the cage. She's going to maul Juliana Pena. Maybe she fights Kayla Harrison one last hurrah and then walks away if she wins or loses. Who knows?
Maybe. I would be shocked if the UFC signs Kayla Harrison, but I think they do. You have to recognize anytime you see anything in the media where Dana White's like, "Oh, I would never. I'm not." That's him playing hardball,
right?
So like, I think there's probably some truth to that, right? He doesn't want to audit. He's not singing her praises. He's not saying she's anything like that. But like, you have to realize that when the UFC says we're not interested, that's because they're a little interested, but they want to lower your asking price essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Ray Cooper fucking knocks out Magomed Karamov. I mean, Ray Cooper, honestly, one of the funnest fighters outside of the UFC. The guy's a fucking stud. Tons of power. I mean, for him to go through Magomed Karamov and Rory McDonald back to back, that's a tough fucking slate to win $1 million in the belt, but he does it. Dude's a stud, man. Love that guy.
Yeah, I love Ray Cooper. Love the way he had his fight against Rory McDonald was like super wrestling heavy. But this was back to like all violence. They showed him on the broadcast. Like, I thought he was the next fight So like they cut to his locker room and this motherfucker's like pinning around and like looks so angry. And I was like, oh shit, Ray Cooper fights next. And he wasn't for like 3 more fights. It was like an hour and a half before his
It's
fight.
crazy.
He's just like already angry. And you get that like fighter
Yeah,
vibe.
hell yeah.
He's like Hawaiian Diaz style, like a monster. So
Just stud, man.
I'm always a Ray Cooper fan.
Abigail Montez defeats Clarissa Shields. People are going to have a very strong opinions about Clarissa Shields, and I think she's brought that on herself, but I think she handled herself well after this. She said the right things. I mean, look, we know Clarissa Shields has hands. She's tough as nails. She showed that in her first fight, and I think a lot in this fight, but she's got things to work on. She kind of got beat up in the clinch. She got taken down. I mean, I'm not ready to close the book on Clarissa Shields. I think you can keep putting her in matchups like this to kind of build her up. But again, like being a 2-time Olympic boxing champion, being outspoken about yourself, you're going to kind of bring more haters to the party, right?
Yeah, I'll be honest though, man. I respect her a ton. And I said this to my girlfriend. I was watching. I was like, this is crazy. Like she is. I think I'm not a women's boxing expert by any means, but at least she is widely considered, I think, the best current female boxer on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Has all these accolades. And I said even before the fight, I was like, she's risking, first of all, it tells you 2 things. One, female boxing pay has got to be just fucking atrocious.
Exactly.
Here is somebody who is on the top of that sport, and she's willing to go out here on fucking ESPN and lose to somebody that nobody knows about. And it's probably like, no disrespect to Abby Montez, but she's not like a prospect. She's not like Aaron Blanchfield was or anything like that. She is not. My point
she was
is,
a body.
I respect Clarissa Shields because she's not Kayla Harrison. If she were from a grappling art, if she were a wrestler, different fucking story, because you can transition and fight people with the same amount of fights as you and just totally dominate them. But if we've learned anything since 1993 and UFC 1, it's that boxing doesn't do a lot in an MMA fight if it's only boxing. And she's out here, I mean, not just risking it. She's now 1-1. Is it like she lost? I don't know. I respect her for going out there and not just fighting other strikers. I respect her for this. Yeah. And I realize she has haters for being so outspoken, but whatever. I think she's a bitch too. I think she's exciting. I like watching her. I'm more interested in seeing her box now. I'll say that. Yeah,
I am. I think she handled it well. Like, you made a good point. Like, imagine Canelo Alvarez having to, needing to stay busy. Like, hey, I got to make more money and jumping into MMA. Like,
insane. And like, yeah. And like it's just she almost lost her first fight too against Britain. Like, the willingness to humble herself, I think, is the haters need to step back and realize what she's doing here.
Absolutely. Bruno Capoloza wins the heavyweight title. Some unfortunate news, he wins the title, finds out about the passing of his father. Unfortunate for him, but man, dude's a stud. Like, I really enjoy watching that guy fight. Movlid Hasbulaev just dominates Chris Wade. That guy is another one to keep your eye on from the Smesh factory out there.
Yeah, and Chris Wade was so pissed he didn't even shake his hand afterward. He was mad. He got just
destroyed.
Wrestled, yeah, basically.
Yeah. Antonio Carlos Jr. wins. Raush Manfro wins the strap. I didn't even think he should have been in the final. I forget who he lost or who he won, but I thought
Clay Collard.
Yeah, Clay Collard. I thought he clearly lost.
Same.
So good card. PFL's doing big things. I really liked how they did this finale. I thought they stacked it well. There's a lot of title fights. The non-title fights were all very good. PFL's doing a thing, man. Overall, really good season.
Yeah, I didn't watch them as diligently as I have in the past this year, but those $1 million fights do turn out fun. Like the Bruno Capoloza fight was bananas, bonkers. Raush Manfro fight was fun. Like these generally turn into fun fights, so I'm into it. However, they need to pump the brakes. They're with like constantly calling themselves the biggest night in MMA. It's, all right. Relax.
Yeah,
It's a Wednesday. It's Wednesday in October.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Exactly. All right, let's transition to the aforementioned card this weekend. UFC 267. They're back on Fight Island. I believe the prelim start at like 10:30 Eastern, and then main card at 2 p.m. Absolutely love that. Dude, this card is fucking stacked. Like, top to bottom, there is so many good fights. Starting at the top, light heavyweight title on the line. Absolutely love this fight. Jan Blachowicz taking on Glover Teixeira. I mean, these guys are two veterans of the sport. Glover, always love that dude. He home base in Connecticut now. I actually got to train with him back in the day. Absolutely frightening dude, but the nicest guy. Literally the nicest, most friendly guy on the planet. But standing across that guy, it very scary. Dude, this fight is awesome. Like, they're both very well rounded. Both have power on the feet. Both really good grapplers. I'm a little bit surprised that the odds are so wide. They have currently Blachowicz is like a minus 355, minus 300 favorite. The comeback on Glover, minus 270, minus 240. I think that's a little steep, man. I think this fight is really going to be very close. I mean, both of these guys are on a serious roll right now. But man, if Glover gets you down and he can weather the storm on the feet, dude, he is a fucking handful on the mat.
Yeah, I think the two kind of questions are, one is, what is Glover's chin like? Because on his little run here, right, it hasn't been without some scary moments. Even his very last fight, Thiago Santos almost put him away. I believe Anthony Smith hurt him, right? Like, you have to question Glover's like durability to a degree at this point. I'm looking. You also, I think the other question is, like, how much has Jan Blachowicz's wrestling improved in this little run? Because I guess, he has a win over Corey Anderson, but Corey Anderson, I'm looking for other wrestlers that Blachowicz has fought recently. I don't remember Corey Anderson trying to take him down. I believe Jacare struggled to take him down. I guess my point is I think one is like, can Glover get Jan Blachowicz on the mat and keep him there? But two, the flip side is like, can Jan Blachowicz test Glover's chin, and can Glover's chin pass that test? I'm leaning more towards Blachowicz here, but I'm also with you that I think it's a bit closer fight than the odds indicate.
Yeah, Jan is strange because he has big power, but we've seen it. He'll take time off. He'll kind of sit and wait. He's not an overly aggressive striker. He's a very good counterpuncher, and he's very good in like short timed burst, right? Where I think Glover is going to be able to walk him down, back him up, probably put him against the cage. But again, Glover, especially early, because I feel like Glover's chin gets better like over time. It's weird. Like, he'll get cracked and dropped early, but then he'll get hit with some of the same shots later in the fight, and you're just able to wear him better. Don't know why, but again, like him backing up Jan's dangerous off the back foot. So I think Glover has to be very careful while he's walking Jan down. And then on the mat, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if Glover can get Jan down, like, do you think he's going to be able to have the same success that he had like against a Anthony Smith, who has a good guard, but kind of a lax guard, right? Where he's fine with like, I think Jan, if he does get taken down, is going to need to prioritize getting up first, not even attacking off his back.
Yeah, I think Jan is a different animal on the ground. I know he's like, I think Jan is totally different than the guy that got out wrestled by like Alexander Gustafsson in 2016. I think that is gone.
That's gone.
He's no longer a guy that can be just taken down and controlled at all. I think, to your point, like, Blachowicz doesn't fight like Anthony Smith does on the ground at all. I don't think this little run that Teixeira had against Smith and Santos in particular, I think he was just he's so much outclassed guys on the ground, that he was able to like pretty easily, like, yeah, Smith has a good guard, but I think for the most part, Glover Teixeira has that old man fucking strength and like super fundamental basic jujitsu that shuts those guys down. Again, not that Blachowicz is like a jujitsu wizard, but I think we've seen in this little run here that's led him to the title that he's like, first of all, a super, super smart fighter. And second of all, I think durable as hell. I think he has a great gas tank. He might even be the bigger guy here in this matchup. I don't know. I just can't imagine a scenario where Glover Teixeira is able to take Jan Blachowicz down and like put on pass his guard and put a Kimura on him. That would really, really shock me.
I know. I'm pretty torn with this one, but I'm going Glover, man. It just feels he's on what, a 5-fight win streak. Obviously, he knows this is his last chance. Hey, it's Glover's birthday today,
Oh shit.
October 28th. Happy birthday to Glover Teixeira. But I'm going Glover, man. I think he's going to have to weather the storm early. I think this is going to be a really close tactical fight, but I think he is going to be able to take Jan down, especially when it gets to 3, 4, and 5. I think he's going to have some success against the cage. I think he's also going to be able to crack Jan with some shots. Glover does have heavy hands. Again, like his striking is kind of the same as his jiu-jitsu. It's kind of plotting. It's very basic, but the guy can crack. I'm going to go Glover by decision in a really close, fun, kind of like your dad fighting your uncle at the barbecue fight. I think he gets the title, and I think he walks off into the sunset as the champ.
Man, I would like that. I think these are both kind of like not fan favorites, but both guys that people like to like.
Like really respect, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go the other way though. I think you kind of talked about it earlier, is Glover has to be careful moving forward. I think he will be the guy that wants to pressure, but Jan Blachowicz has an incredible check left hook, used it to knock out Luke Rockhold. So I'm going with Jan Blachowicz by knockout, like middle rounds, like second or third. I think he catches him with a left hook on the way in.
Yeah, it's going to be a good freaking fight.
Yep.
Co-main, interim title on the line, man. What a goddamn fight. Happy Corey Sandhagen got to step into this opportunity. He lost a really, really tight split decision to TJ Dillashaw last time out. A lot of people thought he won, but he's taking on Petr Yan. Man, it was unfortunate what happened with Petr Yan in that last fight. And again, like, that's all on him. I'm not saying like it's, it's unfortunate that he lost. I mean, he did that, but it's just unfortunate that like the fight ended that way in a fight that I thought that he kind of weathered the storm and he was really taking over. I thought he was able to showcase his whole game in that fight. I mean, he's got those nasty trips. Like, his timing is insane. His striking is so goddamn good. He could do it all. So this is a really, really fun fight that we didn't really think we were going to get, especially after Corey losing to TJ. Currently, the lines sit at Petr Yan about a -250 favorite with the comeback on Corey Sandhagen plus 200. I think that's fair. I really do favor Yan in this fight. I just think he's the better all-around fighter in most areas, but Corey Sandhagen is dangerous. He's well-rounded. So I think he could, I don't know, man. I think he can make up a lot of the ground, and this is a real fun one.
Yeah, I think I like this more than the light heavyweight fight, to be honest. I'm a little bit less emotionally invested, but yeah, I think this is two of the most skilled guys in the division. I think Jan is the most skilled guy by a wide margin. I think the only area that Corey Sandhagen has the edge on Petr Yan is like the one strike finishing power. Not that Petr Yan doesn't have that, but he's he kind of approaches it much more like boxing, right? He's not a particularly fast starter. He's going to like try to set up his knockout. He's going to try to like punch in combination on the counter, all that good stuff. Whereas Sandhagen, right, flying knees, head kicks, shit like that is always on the table with him. And I think that's part of what makes the fight really interesting to me. Is Sandhagen for a bantamweight has shown pretty incredible ability to end a fight like immediately. I do favor Jan in basically every other area. I mean, we saw Petr Yan anytime he was like in a clinch situation with Aljamain Sterling, basically Petr Yan ended up on top. So if he can like basically toss around and trip and hit those like Osoto Garis and all that good shit against a guy like with the wrestling of Aljamain Sterling, I think he can do it basically whenever he wants to against Corey Sandhagen. And unless Corey Sandhagen can keep the fight at range, like at long range for the full 25 minutes, I think he's constantly in danger of being taken down by Jan.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, I think at any distance, Jan just probably has the advantage. Like, when they're in close, he's just so nasty with those he's got those foot sweeps. His balance is insane. He's fast. Yeah, I think early, like you said, I think is probably going to be Corey's probably best chance, because I agree with you. He does have more one-shot power. Jan is a slow starter, which we saw in the Aljamain Sterling fight. But once Jan gets going and he gets the timing, man, it's like a freight train that's hard to stop. I favor Jan here. I actually think he's going to finish Corey Sandhagen. I like Jan by late finish, maybe like late third, mid to early fourth. I think Sandhagen's going to be in the fight. I think he's going to make it interesting. I think he's probably going to have Jan maybe on his back foot a little bit by hitting him with some big strike. But I'm going Jan to win the interim title. Crazy, this is the interim title fight. I mean, this could damn well be the because again, like you said, I think Jan is clearly the best fighter in this division. It's not particularly close, but I'm going Jan by finish here.
Yeah, I think I'm with you exactly. I think it third round finish, the Uriah Faber Peter Yan fight comes to mind. I could see that kind of happening where it's like, oh shit, this guy is better than him on the feet. And then in those moments where he chooses to, he can also like dramatically foot sweep him to the ground. Like, I think we're going to see Peter Yan showcasing some stuff. And on top of all that, like, yes, Corey Sandhagen has, I think, pretty incredible one strike finishing power, but I think Peter Yan is the best defensive fighter in the division.
Yeah,
it's the best in all of the UFC. Like, he is. It's hard for me to imagine somebody like not only cracking his chin but like hurting him enough to put him away. Did John Dodson touch him? I feel like John Dodson maybe like put him on his butt one time. But I think Peter Yan in general is just like a pretty incredible defensive fighter.
Yeah, his reflexes are fucking insane.
Yeah,
that's so good. Moving down on the card, man. This card gets better and better. Islam Makhachev, Dan Hooker. What a fight. Props to Dan Hooker for taking this fight. Big fight for Makhachev because I think he finally gets that name where he gets to step up and fight a guy that is consistently maybe not at the title level, but right below it. The lines are crazy in this one, too. Islam Makhachev is a minus 650 favorite. The comeback on Dan Hooker is plus 450. I mean, Dan Hooker has proven that obviously he can crack. He's got very good kicks. He's got good knees. And he showed in his last fight that he's got some wrestling. Now, I don't know if he's got the wrestling to deal with Islam Makhachev, who is again, he's from the Smash Factory. He's like one of those offensive wrestling dynamos where he can chain wrestle his ass off. And once he gets you on the mat, it's just constant pressure, punches, submission threats. I feel like Makhachev is not going to mess around on the feet too much because the more it stays on the feet, while Makhachev has good striking, Dan Hooker is just flat out the better, more dynamic, harder punching striker. But Makhachev, if he gets to the wrestling early, he's going to put Dan Hooker on the back foot. He's going to take away a lot of Dan Hooker's opportunities on the feet because Hooker's not going to want to throw those knees and kicks. Here's the thing. Can Dan Hooker keep it on the feet long enough for him to have an impact in this fight?
Maybe. Maybe. I want to say the problem for him is, you kind of alluded to it, is that a lot of his best strikes are those like knees up the middle kicks, which if they land, that's a great deterrent to somebody shooting a takedown for sure. Like threatening a flying knee to your head is a great way to stop somebody from shooting on you. However, that's like Islam Makhachev can just walk his way into a clinch and choose to take you down if he wants to. I just think a lot of Dan Hooker's best weapons on the feet expose him to takedowns. He's not a super fast guy. He's not a super fast striker by any means. However, I do think he's probably improved his wrestling. I'm trying to think of who the last guy we saw Dan Hooker fight that tried to take him down or put him on his butt. I don't know if Paul Felder did, but he's from like that city kickboxing camp. They prepare guys well with good takedown defense. I mean, look, no other than Israel Adesanya, who has pretty fucking stellar takedown defense. The odds, I'm with you, feel extra wide. I don't know why Dan Hooker is such a big underdog. He is massive for the division. He has like plenty of knockouts on his record. He's fought elite competition. I favor Makhachev just because he has the really clear path to victory with his wrestling, but it's a very, very big step up in competition for him. So I don't know where these, like, Makhachev being minus 650 feels absurd.
I got a feeling that he's going to prove the odds right. I like Dan Hooker. Like, I give him props. So, dude, Makhachev feels like he's just got the ball rolling right now. I think he's going to be able to get Dan Hooker down. I think he finishes by rear naked choke here, maybe in like the second round. But again, like if Dan Hooker can keep distance and maybe land some of those long knees and start putting some punches on Makhachev, maybe defend a takedown, it could change pretty quickly. But I'm going Makhachev here pretty decisively.
Yeah, we'll see. I've been shitting on him for a while, so I should stop, but we'll see.
I mean, I think he's finally getting the chance to prove you wrong, because this is a big step up for him.
Yeah, I mean, this is stylistically a good fight for him, but Dan Hooker is Dan Hooker, whether it's stylistically good or bad, like it's still an elite lightweight. So I can't shit on him if he can get past Dan Hooker with style.
Agreed. I'm going to skip a fight really quick, because I think the next biggest fight on the card is obviously the Li Jingliang taking on the returning Khamzat Chimaev, who was one of 2020's biggest stars, one of the COVID pandemic stars. I mean, it's crazy. The guy had 3 fights in a matter of we had 2 fights within a matter of 10 days, and then another fight a couple months later, gets hit with the COVID bug. So he's been out for a while since September. Oh, damn, he's been out for a year. How crazy is that?
Mm-hmm.
But dude, he's got a hard fucking fight here against the Leech. And this is another set of odds I think are crazy. They got Chimaev as like a minus 550, minus 600 favorite. The comeback on the Leech is like right around plus 400, dude. The Leech is... I thought this, maybe not a pick 'em, like I thought Chimaev would be a favorite, but dude, I thought it might have been like minus like 175 or something like that. Like, dude, the Leech is fucking good, man.
Yeah, and Chimaev's records, accomplishments, just on their own, do not warrant like him being as big of a favorite as he is. His biggest win to date is that 17-second knockout over Gerald Meerschaert,
which we saw nothing besides one punch.
Yeah, which like, okay, he's capable of that. That's not worth thing for sure. But yeah, the hype behind him might be warranted. I don't know. The key is we don't know, because like, yeah, he's only fought 3 guys in the UFC. 2, John Phillips and Reese McKee, if I recall, had like 0 grappling whatsoever. And then Gerald Meerschaert is Gerald Meerschaert. So yeah, I think these odds are like way off. I mean, it looks like we're probably going to do a best bets episode this week. Like, come back on the Leech is plus 330. Like, that feels like not free money because he's an underdog, but man, the value lies on the underdog, I would say.
I'm picking the Leech straight up, man. I think he's going to get this done. Chimaev's been off for a year. Again, like, we haven't seen him against... And
he had COVID. You don't even know,
COVID,
like...
Right. Yeah, you have no idea how his cardio is going to be.
That.
The Leech has good cardio. The Leech puts good pressure. He's got a hell of a chin. He's got good striking. He's got a good get-up game if he does get taken down. Yeah, I'm going the Leech here. I think it's going to be a fucking insane fight. I think they're both going to be going nuts. I'm going to take the Leech by stoppage. In the 3rd round, I think Chimaev's going to get tired. I think Chimaev is going to have some early success with takedowns and some strikes, but I think the Leech is going to be able to weather the storm. I think he finishes him.
I'm right. I'll go. I want that. Because that's the classic, like, that's also why it is dangerous, because that's how Li Jingliang often fights, is like, they're slobber knockers, they're bangers, and he will never, ever quit. He's not going to go away. He'll even fucking, who was it? Jacob Matthews. He'll even rake your eyes if he feels like he has to do that. Like, this guy is a fighter through and through, and maybe Chimaev is, but he's only had 9 pro fights, so we don't know yet.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one, man. And then rounding out the main card, Alexander Volkov taking on Marcin Tybura, who is possibly the quietest 5-fight streak in MMA. And then the other fight, Magomed Ankalaev, who, keep your eye on that dude. The dude is coming. He's a stud, taking on Volkan Ozdemir. Ozdemir maybe on the downside of his career, but I think at the very least Ankalaev is getting him at the right time.
Yeah, and it's been a hot minute. I still associate Ankalaev with that very last second triangle choke to Paul Craig.
Oh man, I know.
He's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights since then. So, he just needed that loss maybe in his career.
Couple good fights in the undercard too. Amanda Ribas is back taking on Virna Jandiroba. Jandiroba, we'll talk about it on the Best Bets episode. Another underdog that I like. Albert Duraev, fresh off that Contender Series victory, taking on Roman Hopilov. Those are 2 guys to keep your eye on. ZDS, Eliza Zaleski dos Santos is back. Lerone Murphy taking on Marquand Americani. This is a good card, man. Andre Petrovsky from Tough.
Yeah, I did prelim primer this week. I'm also with you on the Virna Jandiroba. And that's a good side. Like, I remember watching her fucking win the title in Invicta. Incredible top game jiu-jitsu, and I think Ribas is in for a bit of a surprise there against her. But yeah, no, this is fun. Even the like second fight, Damir Ismagulov against Magomed Mustafayev, should be super, super fun. Ismagulov quietly, I think, undefeated in the UFC on a 5-fight win streak or 4-fight win streak in the UFC. So there's people that you all should be watching for sure.
Yeah, for sure. This card is stacked top to bottom. Again, different start time. Main card kicks off at 2 p.m. Eastern. I believe the prelims are like 10:30 Eastern or something like that. So I love the midday cards on ESPN Plus too. Can't get better than that.
Yeah, it makes me feel old, but I don't give a fuck, man. I get tired at like 9:30, right when a real pay-per-view starts. So put them in the middle of the day, and I'm watching them every time.
A couple of odds and ends before we get out of here. There was a couple fights announced. Dude, honestly, this fight is fucking awesome. Calvin Kattar, Giga Chikadze, UFC main event, so it's going to be 5 rounds. What a banger. Awesome fight.
Oh, yeah. I just saw the tweet. I didn't realize it was a main event. 5 rounds. Sign me all the way up. That means Giga Chikadze will probably start slow and set up something awesome in like the 4th fucking round, like a classic kickboxer. Yeah, that's a pants off kind of fight.
Yeah, is there any? I feel like there's some other good fights announced. Let me see if I could find them. I feel like there was at least one other fight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let me see. Maybe not though.
I'm trying to think. No big jiu-jitsu news either.
Mike Perry to BKFC, if you like that kind of stuff.
I mean, that's very unsurprising, but yeah.
Oh yeah, we already mentioned Horiguchi and Pettis. So yeah, I think that's
I mean that's the next biggest fight.
Oh, Josh Emmett, Danny Ige. That's what I was thinking of. That's a good fight. Josh Emmett coming back.
Do you know when that's scheduled for?
That is scheduled for UFC 269, so that December 11th card.
All right. Yeah, I'm into it.
That card's a fucking banger too.
Yeah, man, we got some good ones to end the year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then again, like this next two weekends are absolutely insane.
Yeah, for real.
All right, man. I think we hit everything. Guys, we always appreciate y'all listening. Please hit us with a subscribe and a follow and a listen wherever you check out podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Check us out. Enjoy the fights, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Face the pain.